Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at this article about a guy named Christopher Hassan. He was basically a Coast Guard lieutenant, and he was really he was arrested for making terrorist threats or like right wing terrorist domestic terrorist threats. He was threatening to carry out killing black people in the D.C. area. He also was threatening to kill congressmen and senators, and this is what he looked like today, right here. And this article comes from Heavy. It says a Coast Guard lieutenant who federally prosecutors have accused of being a domestic terrorist who wanted to carry out a massive attack had compiled a hit list of targets that includes several top Democrat politicians and a well-known members of the mainstream media. Christopher Hassan was arrested on February 15th on federal gun and drug charges, but prosecutors said that is just the tip of the iceberg. Hassan, a 49-year-old resident out of Silver Spring, Maryland, who has been based at a Coast Guard's headquarters in Washington, D.C. since 2016, was plotting to murder innocent civilians on a scale rarely seen in this country. Prosecutors say February 19 in a court filing asking a judge to keep Hassan behind bars. Hassan has not been charged with any, well, which is not a surprise. He has not been charged with any terrorism related offenses. But yet he was planning to plot to kill innocent civilians and congressmen. But when it comes to right-wing white men in America, they never label them as terrorists anyway. So let's continue. He was arrested on a criminal complaint accusing him of possession of firearms and ammunition by an unlawful user or addicted of controlled substance and possession of tramadol, and remains in federal custody pending a February 20th detention hearing. In court documents, prosecutors say Hassan identified himself as a white nationalist who had advocated for focused violence to create a white homeland. He was researching the manifesto of a far-right Norwegian mass murderer, Anders Breivik, and the prosecutors believe he was stockpiling weapons and supplies as Breivik instructed in his writings. The Norwegian terrorist killed 77 people in a 2011 attack. The case was first uncovered by Seamus Hughes, a former senator counterterrorism advisor, who now works with the George Washington University program on extremism, which provides analysis and policy solutions on radicalization, terrorism, and extremism. You can learn more about the GWPOE and Hughes' work here. Hughes, the program's deputy director, has revealed details on several cases involving American extremism and terrorism, often finding the information in federal court documents before the media. Federal authorities did not release a press release or statement on the case prior to Hughes tweeted on February 20th about the arrest. Prosecutors did not say if Hassan had a date for or specific plan of attack. Authorities have also said how they uncovered Hassan's alleged plans. Ladies and gentlemen, and you see what's going on, that he's one of the white nationals, the white supremacists, that targeting, people, targeting innocent civilians, targeting senators and congressmen. And these are the targets. All these people, this is Hassan's, and I'm continue to read from Heavy. This is all the targets he was about to do until the FBI foiled the attack. And Hassan targets members of the Democratic leadership, presidential candidates, and prominent media members, many of whom are frequent critics and targets of Trump, Fed says. See, this is another Donald Trump supporter is launching these, attacks against Democratic leadership, which is congressmen, senators, and some mainstream media pundits, All of this is on this list. And it continues to say is Christopher Paul Hassan, who has served in the Coast Guard since 2012 and previously served in the Marine Corps and Army National Guard, created a list of targets that include several members of the Democratic congressional leadership, along with senators, like I said, and presidential candidates. Federal authorities say in the court documents, members of the media were also among his targets, according to prosecutors. Now, I'm going to stop you right there. And people trying to downplay this and trying to play this as a role. This is a white nationalist with he was heavily armed, threatening Democratic leadership. And if it wasn't for the FBI and other federal authorities to foil his plan, he was going to carry out those attacks. And all y'all said were Trump supporters, well, we ain't murderers and blah, blah, blah. Look what's happening. You notice every time Donald Trump speaks hate speech, look what's going on. All these incidents is happening. All these terrorist stuff is happening. And yet they only focusing on Islamic terrorists instead of white nationalists or white supremacist terrorists. And, you know, when we talk about the Charlottesville massacre, when he says that, you know, he said that the white nationalists, the KKK, is good people, in other words. And I'm paraphrasing it, of course. But you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to continue to say is you can see the spreadsheet he created above. The document was made in January 2019 on Hassan's work computer. According to prosecutors, he compiled it while looking at websites for CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. He also had done research into the home and work addresses of some of the targets, according to prosecutors. So he did some research on all the addresses of the Democratic leadership. And obviously you're seeing, and I'm gonna look at all those targets. And majority of them, and I can read it as clear as day. You have Chris Hayes on the list, Ari Meiber, you got Don Lemon is on this list. You got Maxine Waters, Auntie Maxine Waters on this list. You got Sheila Jackson Lee on this list, Chris Cuomo, Angela Davis. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Angela Davis, the activist. Van Jones. You got all these people that he's targeting on this list. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on. It says, among members of the media, Hassan listed Joey, who federal prosecutors say is Joe Scarborough, the host of MSNBC's Morning Joe. Hassan was angry about statements Scarborough made, calling President Donald Trump the worst president ever, and looked up whether MSNBC's show is filmed after reading about those comments, according to court documents. And just like I said before, the list goes on. It says two other MSNBC hosts, Chris Hayes and Ari Melbert, were also on the list, along with CNN's Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, and Van Jones. All have at times have been critical of Trump. Political activist Angela Davis is also on the list, according to prosecutors, as is the chairman of Hillary Clinton 2016 presidential candidate John Podesta, who has been frequent targets of conspiracy theories, including those who believe in the debunk of Pizzagate and Xanon theories. One target was listed as Senator Blumenthal, and prosecutors said that was a reference to Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal. All of these politicians on the list are Democrats, and many have been vocal opponents of Trump and targets of presidential vitriol on social media. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who those is spelled Schumer on the dock, are also listed, according to prosecutors. Senator and presidential candidates Kristen Gillibrand, spelled Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, and also listed along with Elizabeth Warren, whose name is written using Trump's derogatory name for her as Polka Warren. Virginia Senator and Hillary Clinton running mate Tim Kaine is also on the list. Um, and the list goes on and on, ladies and gentlemen. Majority of Democratic candidates for president. So, and it says outspoken freshman Democratic Representative Alexandria Arsario Cortez, Ilhan Oman are also on the list, according to prosecutors, along with, like I said, Auntie Maxine, which is Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Sheila Jackson Lee, and former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who ran for the Senate against Ted Cruz and is considered a presidential run. The Democratic Socialists for America organization is also listed. It is not clear if federal authorities contacted those on the list. Chris Hayes appeared to indicate he was not contacted by investigators, tweeting, "Is it me or is it kind of weird?" Neither than USAO or DOJ put out on a press release on this case. In recent weeks, Hassan had also been searching for terms related to those on his list. According to prosecutors, he searched for what if Trump illegally impeached, best place in D.C. to see Congress people, where in D.C. Sick Congress lies, civil war if Trump impeached. And Social Democrats USA Hassan had also searched for most liberal senators. Do senators have Secret Service protection, according to court documents? But, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is, I'm sorry, is a terrorist. And the people, a lot of mainstream media are gonna say they're not gonna say the word terrorist. I will say terrorist because that's what he is. He's a white supremacist terrorist. He goes in, threatening all the Democratic leadership, including those who's running for president, and the mainstream media, all the reporters, well, not reporters, some anchors who against Trump. And you know, when basically when you have people like that, when people trying to have opinion who do not like Donald Trump, guys like him is gonna make death threats, and people, because basically he's a Trump supporter. But he's not the only one. Every time there's a hate speech, people listen to it, and they'll do something about it. And obviously, you see all the weapons that this man has. He was going to carry out to take out some senators and congressmen and innocent people. Majority of black people, especially black people. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop right there with this because it goes to show you that this man, and if it wasn't for the FBI, for his terrorist plans, he would carry out those plans. But realistically, ladies and gentlemen, it shows that he doesn't care about anybody else but himself. And when Trump's speaking death, I mean, really, when Trump's telling everybody that he's gonna kick these people, beat up these people, threaten them, people like him will listen to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think about this. Share this article. Subscribe my YouTube channel. Subscribe my reaction channel. And subscribe my Black Junction channel for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.